Hello, everybody. It's Penny and Kim lighting up your Friday with the 5 stars of strengthening families. We are continuing our conversation about communication and the social emotional competence of children. And Penny is going to start us off with our check-in.
Great. Thanks, Kim. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us again. So last week we talked about how do you handle it when your children's feelings, big feelings, stir up big feelings in you. So we talked about being triggered. So your child is erupting about something and you find yourself joining them. And the situation tends to escalate from there. So what we asked you to do was just take some time over the week to notice what kinds of things were triggering for you. So we were asking you just to be curious and not to judge, but just to say, like, what's going on? Or I'm noticing that I'm starting to flush or sweat, or I'm getting irritated or angry, or as that beginning step to noticing. Your turn soon, you can talk. Noticing, because when we start to notice and become aware, then it's possible for us to make some changes. So hopefully you had a chance to do some digging and some curious onlooking to your own triggers. So Kim, did you want to say something about that?
Just that it's key. I think that noticing is the very beginning of it. It's half the battle, realizing.
Because we did talk about how lightning quick your brain can go places. And so that little germ of awareness can help you slow down that and then create a new pathway of reacting to what's going on. And it can sometimes be a brilliant window into some hurts we need to heal in our own selves that have happened to us over our childhood and our lives, because a lot of times it doesn't really seem rational that you would be reacting so much to something like that. So it can be a great place to sort of go, isn't that interesting that I find that, like, I lose my cool over that. Anyways, yes. So today we're going to keep talking about this communication topic. So I'm going to turn it over to Kim, and she's going to ask you our question for today.
All righty. So our question for today is, how do you assist your children in dealing with their feelings? So when they have those big feelings, how can you help them through that?
All right, so I'll start. How do I assist my children? So first thing I can do to assist my children is not join the chaos. So I want to be the calm in the chaos. So the very first step is recognizing I might be starting to, and sometimes I'm not joining the chaos. Sometimes I am. So that's the first step. If I'm feeling a little bit triggered or like I'm going to be, I need to take those 5 seconds and breathe and calm myself down. If I'm okay with it, how do I assist them? Then I model. So by taking those 5 seconds, I'm modeling to my children how I can regulate myself. And then sitting with them, sort of, if they aren't able to verbalize, helping them with verbalizing. And again, as the expert of your child, you will know what works for them. So with your children, it might work to talk them through it. With some kids, they just want you to be quiet and be with them. And so a simple, I'm here, when you're ready, we can hug, cuddle. Sometimes you can help them talk it out so that they can express those feelings in words. You can mirror their expressions and really help them get that out. Some kids are really physical, so you might have to redirect that. So some families, you use those boundaries. It's okay to be angry, and it's not okay to smash the wall or hit your sister, or how else can we redirect that? Jumping jacks, We need to go outside for 5 minutes. I think the key is trying always to be with them without judgment, and help them get the feelings out. So those emotions, if they need the words, if they don't need the words, some kids are really good at verbalizing how they feel. It's allowing those feelings. You know, in our house, it's all feelings are welcome, all behaviors are not. And that's always a bit of a struggle. So Kim, tell me, how do you assist your children in dealing with those big feelings?
Well, I agree with everything that you're saying, Penny. I heard two things that I heard were modeling and validation. And so I want to talk just a little bit about each of those. So the modeling, what I think is really important, as well as in the heat of the moment, but also when you yourself are struggling with emotions and they're totally not involved, when it's not about them, it's about something that's happening in your life. The modeling that happens there, like if you can talk it out and you can say, man, this has really upset me. I feel like doing this, but I know that's not appropriate. And so this is what I'm going to do instead. To me, kids often don't do as you say, they do as you do. And so if you can model and talk out your frustrations or your sad feelings or, you know, those big emotions, then that's where a lot of the learning is going to come from. So I love the modeling, you know, when you're in the heat of the moment, but also when it's one step removed and they can just watch the whole thing sort of play out. And then the other thing that I really liked that I heard you saying was validate. That's the piece I think that we so often miss. And we automatically go to calming our child down, but it's almost impossible as far as the brain is concerned to calm down when we don't feel heard or understood. So the validation piece is huge. And that I really loved how you said that, and that I think for me has been one of the biggest things that I've learned in my parenting journey, and that I do and share with the parents that I work with, is to validate before anything else starts to happen.
Yeah, and that's a really great point. The idea that you often want, it's difficult for us to hear their big feelings. So we want to move them through them in a hurry. So our goal is not that our child feels heard. Our goal is that they stop. If we really want to break it right down to brass tacks, that's really what a lot of us are looking for. Again, back to I've talked about this before, what's going to work, right? So if your goal is to just get them to be happy again, I think you're right. We often miss that step of just sitting in the feelings. So just letting things be until the child is ready to move on. And that can be really hard. And that's where we invite you to really look at your own triggers, because you're so right that if they don't feel heard, it's difficult for them to move forward. And then starts the stuffing down of things. And that's not a healthy coping mechanism, which can lead to other problems, right? So again, well, the other thing too that I loved, and I wrote a note, the preventative modeling. So yeah, every day with your own life, you're teaching them. So when we ask you to do these challenges, it's great modeling. So if you're digging into and even verbalizing that, wow, you know, my heart rate just started going through the roof when that happened. And man, I'm feeling hot and sweaty, and I wonder what's going on for me. Well, I'm feeling a little bit afraid, and age appropriate always. You know, we're not putting the weight of the world on these little people, but we're just showing them, like you said, beautifully, how do I do this? Yeah.
Yeah, and if I could add a little bit to what you were saying about when we're quick to help our children to feel happy because we're uncomfortable. you know, possibly with their these big emotions. They're hard for all of us. So when we have this, you know, are always trying to get them to be happy, like you said about the other emotions sort of just kind of getting pushed into the background, we're inadvertently teaching them that the only emotion that we are okay with as your parent is happiness. And then when they feel anything but, then they feel like there's something wrong with them, when in actuality all emotions are, you know, emotions are our friend. You know, reminds me of that Nemo, Fisher friends, not food. Emotions are friends,
Food.
not food.
And we talked a little bit about this in our last video, but the idea about negative and positive, they just are.
Right.
Behaviors can be labeled differently, but emotions are just, feelings are just are. And it's okay if you're not acting inappropriately on those feelings. So I think that can be where the waters get a little bit muddy too, is that it's not okay for your child to tear the house apart and hit people and or whatever you've decided are your parameters, yet the feelings are valid and they need to come out. You know, emotions, energy, and motion, they need to come out in a healthy way. And that's what your job is as the parent, is to help them, even if that means you have to hold the little ones because they'll hurt themselves or you. You know, it's really, yeah, you're so right that
Even if that means that you have to line up a bunch of pop cans for the teenager and stomp them. You know, squash some stuff, break some sticks. So yeah, yes, you're having that feeling. Yes, that has to come out. Here, let's do this.
some shadow boxing.
Shadow box. Yeah. And even modeling it when you're frustrated yourself, man, I just need a few pop cans that I can crush right now. You know, and even just saying that creates this space like, wait, what? I actually get to get this emotion out. Mom's going to do that. You know, like that's called creating space for that emotion. Normalizes.
And that's going to look different in different households with different children, and yeah, as the experts, parents, you get to, you know, decide what that looks like in your house. It's just about, like you said, validating them, providing the limitations they still need from you, because they need to know that you are in charge and you've got this, because it's scary for them when they lose their cool like that. That's scary. So to have someone saying, I've got you, you know, this is what's allowed, this what isn't allowed, and just emote all you want, I'll keep you safe. And then again, last week we touched on it, when you don't do this, or if you do lose your own cool, those are beautiful moments for repair, modeling, apologies, and all that good stuff. So, and connecting with them again afterwards. So let's say, you know, they do lose their poop, and maybe you do too, but maybe you don't. But once that's all over, and then maybe later on when you're having your moments together at bedtime or whatever, you can have a little conversation about what went on and about what they might think they might do next time, you know, because it is good to take those times to problem solve. It's just not right in that moment when the emotions are high, when you're both down in the green zone and you're reconnecting. That's a good time to talk about what might happen next time when they're really frustrated or when they're sad, or
That's right.
That's all I got for you.
Okay, back to our challenge then. I'm wondering about, okay, so what about finding a modeling opportunity of your own? What about doing something like that for our challenge? You know, not when your kids are upset, when you are, when it's something about you, can you model or talk it out in an appropriate way so that they can see how it's done in real experiences? What do you think about that for a challenge?
I think that's great. So we're going to invite you to something that happens that is shareable, so age appropriate, and you're going to go through the steps of, you know, talking about what you're feeling and, you know, how you're going to get that out, and then following it right through to what you might do next time differently, or I don't know, you figure that out. And yeah, that's great. And let's face it, right now in our world, we all have times. We're going to have lots of times when we can model healthy emotional regulation and healthy communication about what we need in those moments. Whether it's, you know what, mom just needs a few minutes, or I need a hug, or I need to go outside and run around the yard. I mean,
I think a couple of important things to add with that, though, is to, like you said, not to give a whole bunch of details to worry the child about, you know, adult problems. So making sure it's appropriate, and also not expecting the child to solve the problem for you. So staying in your role as a parent by saying, by modeling that you have got this and that you will figure it out. Two, I think, important things to note in doing that.
All right. Well, that's it for this Friday. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Thanks for joining us. And next week, we will continue on with our next installment in the communication series. So take care, and we'll see you next Friday.
See you Friday.